On the 2nd of May 1998, a body was found in a deserted garage in Shoreditch. It was the body of Justin Fashanu, Britain's first openly gay footballer. He committed suicide having been shunned by his family, vilified by elements of the English press, and abandoned by the game he loved. The son of a Nigerian barrister and a Guyanese nurse, Fashanu was adopted at the age of 6 by a couple in Norfolk. Despite this tough start, the forward rose through the ranks at Norwich City to score 40 goals in 103 senior appearances for the Canaries. He would play 11 times for England under-21s, score a goal of the season against Liverpool, and become Britain's first £1 million black player when he joined Brian Clough's Nottingham Forest in August 1981. Fashanu came out publicly in an exclusive interview with The Sun in October 1990. From that moment on, his career stalled. Having represented clubs including Norwich, Forest, Southampton, Man City and West Ham, Fashanu struggled to get another full-time contract, winding up his career first at American side Atlanta Silverbacks and then in Wellington with New Zealand-based club Miramar Rangers. In March 1998, after being accused of sexually assaulting an underage boy in Maryland, a state in which homosexual acts were still illegal, Fashanu fled to England fearing he wouldn't get a fair trial. Despite always denying the charges, claiming the sex was consensual, Fashanu took his own life just 2 months later with an arrest warrant hanging over him. This incredibly sad story of a man unsupported and hung out to dry by the game he loved is still relevant today. Remarkably, nearly 21 years after Justin's death, he is still the last active professional footballer to come out in Britain. Homophobia is defined quite simply as a dislike or prejudice against homosexual people. This video will seek to investigate whether the sport we love, football, is inherently homophobic. Now, let's start with some numbers. Data released by the Office of National Statistics in January revealed that 2% of the population of the UK identify as gay, lesbian or bisexual. But given that this final number only represents the amount of people willing to come out when asked in a 178,000 person survey, it won't represent an accurate number. The Treasury estimates that it's closer to 6%, and Stonewall, the prominent gay rights charity, reckon that 5 to 7% is a reasonable estimate. So, for the sake of this video, let's say that 6% of the UK population are gay. Now consider that there are 92 professional clubs in England, 42 in Scotland, 48 in Wales and 24 in Northern Ireland. That's a total of 206 clubs. Say each team has a 25-man roster. That means that there are 5,150 professional footballers in Britain at any one time. The odds would therefore suggest that 309 of them are gay at any one time. And yet, not a single active player has come out in nearly 21 years. In fact, in world football, only 2 active professional players, Minnesota United's Colin Martin and Swedish second division player Anton Heisen, have come out as gay. Football clearly has a problem. In the last few weeks, we have seen the ugly side of the game. England stars openly abused in stadiums, multiple black players reporting online abuse, Moise Kean criticised by his own teammate for celebrating amidst abhorrent racist abuse, and Danny Rose claiming the lack of action and response has left him considering retirement. Yes, this is clearly talking about racism, not homophobia, but they are both clear forms of discrimination, and the efforts to solve one will go some way to improve the other. Sadly, these weren't just one-off events either. Last November, anti-discrimination charity Kick It Out revealed abuse in football rose 11% last season, a 6th successive annual rise. There were 520 reported cases in the 17-18 season, up from 469 the year before. Of these cases, racism makes up 53% of the overall total, up from 22% the previous year. But homophobia has also increased by 9%. And these reports are only the tip of the iceberg, only representing cases in which discrimination is reported to Kick It Out, rather than when it's reported to stewards on match day. In fact, figures released by the Football vs Homophobia campaign found that 63% of LGBT+ supporters have experienced or witnessed abuse at matches over sexuality or gender identity. How could we honestly expect a player to come out in this environment when a noisy minority are making even their fellow fans, let alone potential players, feel victimised and unsafe? And if the amount of progress needed wasn't stark enough, the results of a 2016 BBC Radio 5 Live survey made it perfectly clear. The survey found that 82% of sports fans, not just football fans, in England, Wales and Scotland would have no issue with their club signing a gay player. But the same survey found that 8% of football fans said they would give up supporting their team if they signed a gay player. In these circumstances, it is hardly surprising no British players have publicly come out since Fashanu. But what is clear is that in order to change the landscape, football needs role models, and in that regard, it's miles behind. Tennis has Billie Jean King and Martina Navratilova, basketball John Amici, diving Greg Louganis and Tom Daley, American football Michael Sam, boxing has biathlete Nicola Adams, cricket Stephen Davies, and rugby Gareth Thomas. These are just a few of a number of prominent sports people to come out in recent years. Although we had a stark reminder that these problems aren't unique to football just last week. Australian fullback Israel Folau, one of the best rugby players in the world and a committed Christian, posted on Instagram that drunks, homosexuals, adulterers, amongst others, hell awaits you. This abhorrent post, which was defended by England star Billy Vunipola, led to Rugby Australia terminating his contract. Now, I'm not saying that a footballer has to come out for the situation to improve, and media manhunts to try and find the first only lessen the odds of someone coming out. Recently, we've seen footballers like Michy Batshuayi, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and before them Zlatan, publicly clarified that they aren't gay amidst speculation. Now, they obviously know the attention that would go with being the first in Europe's top 5 leagues to do so, but we need to get ourselves to a point where players don't feel the need to clarify in public, where it simply wouldn't matter if you were gay or straight. We have to ask ourselves, how would we react? How would you feel if your favourite player came out as gay? It probably wouldn't make any difference to how you felt about them. But what if your Sunday League rival, the player you hate the most, has come out as gay? Do you abuse him for that? Do you tolerate others doing so? No. You make sure it has no impact on how you feel, think, or interact with them. Being gay shouldn't make any difference. Their sexual preference is their business and theirs alone. It's not something to be used against them as some sort of ill-perceived point of weakness. The interesting thing is that in the women's game there are numerous openly LGBT players. They include ex-England captain Casey Stoney, women's football all-time top scorer Abby Wambach, and Leanne Sanderson, to name but 3. And yet, despite being the world's game, watched by an estimated 4 billion people and played by 240 million worldwide, football has so few current gay role models in the men's game. There were of course Robbie Rogers and Thomas Hitzlsperger. Rogers was an American winger who earned 18 caps for his country and represented clubs including Leeds and LA Galaxy. He came out in February 2013, but persistent injuries meant he never made an appearance after that season, and he has now started a new career as a television producer. Thomas Hitzlsperger meanwhile spent 7 seasons in England with clubs including Aston Villa, West Ham and Everton before retiring in 2013. The following January, having only recently realised his sexuality, Hitzlsperger became the highest profile footballer to come out as gay to date. This seemed like a massive moment in football. He subsequently told The Guardian that he had thought about coming out whilst at Wolfsburg in the 2011 season, but told them he was advised against it, saying, "They all said, don't do it, a big wave will crash on you." Having publicly revealed his sexuality, the 52-capped international received support from Angela Merkel, David Cameron and Joachim Löw, who all commended his courage. But this is something that irked the man nicknamed Hammer, explaining, "I sincerely hope that we'll see the day when nobody mentions courage in these circumstances anymore, because it will be seen as perfectly normal that a sports person will speak about his homosexuality, the same way others speak about their wives or girlfriends." Now, I'm going to leave it up to the authorities to try and tackle the issue from above. And to be fair, Kick It Out and other bodies have done some great work in recent years, including launching an app where if you hear any form of discrimination, you can report it straight to them and the authorities. But we all know more could be done. We need to try and challenge perceptions throughout football and in society as a whole from the bottom up. I realise this video might come across as patronising, or that I seem to think I am perfect in this regard. I am definitely not. I remember when I was growing up, describing things as gay, without even blinking an eyelid, without even thinking about what I was saying and the impact it was having on the people around me. So the next time you hear someone use that sort of language, in a football environment or otherwise, call them out for it. Tell your friend, brother, dad, uncle, cousin, mum, sister, granny, granddad, spread the message. It's only when we all start taking responsibility for our own thoughts and actions that the situation will improve. And once we have educated ourselves on our own attitudes towards homosexuality, we can shape those of the people around us. It's only when we improve the atmosphere around football, from the local parks to the five-a-side pitches, pubs and terraces around the world to the actual stadiums, will the world's game finally become one for everyone. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video, another one-on-one, this time on homophobia in football. I'm sure you can agree, a very important message. If you enjoyed it, please leave a comment down below and tell us what you want us to cover next time on one-on-ones. And as ever, please subscribe to Eurofootball Daily, hit that notification bell to never miss a video, and I'll see you next time.